Fragrance Boss Buddies. Now, a video I've wanted to do for a little while now is my top 5 fragrances from Kilian. To me, Kilian is an incredible house, definitely one of my favourites. They produce so many quality scents. Both me and my wife are both huge lovers of this house. Like I say, they produce so many quality scents and lasting, longevity, everything that I look for in a niche fragrance. There's a couple of them a little bit softer, but I thought I'd go through my top 5 Kilian scents. First of all, I want to give a little mention as well to one that didn't make it into my top 5. That's this one here, which is Black Phantom. Now, Black Phantom is a wonderful, beautiful, dark chocolate, coffee-ish gourmand. The problem for me is with this one is it's more suited to a colder climate. Therefore, living in the Caribbean, it's not something that I would wear particularly often. It may be nice as like a nice evening scent or something every now and then, but it's not one that I would rush out and buy for where I live at the moment, being in the hot weather all the time. So Black Phantom, definitely worth one checking out. If it's perfect like fall fragrance, fall and winter, it's going to keep you feeling nice and warm, and but yeah, just not really for the Caribbean. So moving into my top 5 now. So for my number 5, it's been very hard for me to choose where I would go and to pick out my top 5, because they are very close, all very close to my heart, and they're all amazing scents. For my number 5 though, I've gone with Apple Brandy. Apple Brandy is an exclusive to the boutiques. I was very lucky when I was back in London to be shopping at a boutique when I was out there looking for Straight to Heaven Extreme, and I've come across this one as well, and I had a couple of sprays of everything. However, because my heart was so set on this one, I was kind of very focused on this one, so I did spray a few of the other ones, including single malt and Apple Brandy, and a single malt being another exclusive, a boutique exclusive. And it was very overpowered by the Straight to Heaven Extreme, which I also had on my wrist, so I didn't really give this one a fair chance. A couple of weeks later though, when I got back to the Caribbean, me and my wife went out for the evening and I sprayed this on. That's when everything changed for me with this scent. I absolutely fell in love with this scent. My wife fell in love with it as well. It's such a beautiful smell. It's called Apple Brandy. I'd say it was more of like an apple cidery, like a green apple cider smell. It's not going to make you smell like you've been in a bar or in a pub all afternoon. It's just a beautiful boozy fragrance from Kilian. Something that he does very well are boozy fragrances. But this one, yeah, it really is a absolute stunner. This one doesn't have massive projection. It wears quite close to the skin. I'd say you're looking maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet maximum projection out of this one. The longevity I find is very good. Other people have had mixed opinions on it. I haven't read other reviews. A lot of people say that it doesn't wear for more than 2 or 3 hours. For me, this is like an 8-hour, 9-hour fragrance, and it still goes pretty strong. After that 9-hour period though, it does start to die down a little bit, and it becomes more of a skin scent. But that's my number 5, is Apple Brandy by Kilian. So moving on to my number 4. My number 4 is Back to Black. Now, I'm a huge fan of tobacco vanilla fragrances. This is the best one I've come across so far. I have yet to try Naxos by Zerhoff, which I've heard so many good things about. I've tried Rehab as well, Rehab by Inicio, which I'm a big fan of too. There's a slightly different balance though to this one. With this one, I mean, first of all, let me talk about another one that I experienced, one that I was really disappointed by, unfortunately, which was Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. I was really looking forward to trying that out when I went back to England, and I was so disappointed to find that it was pretty much all vanilla. I could barely pick up any sort of tobacco notes in it at all. With Back to Black, if you're looking for something a bit more tobacco, this is definitely the one to check out. I'd say this has got to be 2/3 tobacco, this one. This one's 2/3 tobacco, maybe not even 1/3 vanilla, but it's such a beautiful smell. It's this one's got quite a boozy sense about it as well. Like I say, it's like a late evening in like a sort of like whiskey bar or like a whiskey cigar bar. It's such a beautiful sort of smooth fragrance. It's a very, very sexy fragrance. I'd say it's perfect for like a date fragrance. This one doesn't have massive projection, which I don't think you really need with a dating fragrance. It's something that's going to pull women in and it's going to get them even closer, and when they smell that and they get this beautiful boozy sort of tobacco smell, to me this is, like I say, this is an incredibly sexy smell. The longevity with this one as well is fantastic. For longevity out of this one, you're looking at like something that's going to get you all the way through the night and you'll still be able to smell it the next morning. Hopefully if when the lady's leaving, she'll be able to smell it on you still, and she'll give you a nice compliment just before she leaves. So that's my number 4, Kilian's Back to Black. Now moving into my top 3, like I say, it's very, very hard for me to sort of pull these apart and stick them in numerical order, because they do make so many good scents. So I'm down to my top 3 now. Now my third one, I would have to say the reason I don't own it yet is just because I haven't had the opportunity to buy it. This is definitely one that I will be adding to my collection, hopefully when I'm in Miami next month. Now, many of you will know that I do reference this one quite a lot, and there is a reason for that. It is one of my favourite fragrances. I rated it also my boardroom top fragrance, and that's Sacred Wood by Kilian. I cannot explain the beauty and the clean smell that you get from this one. It's just beautiful, pure, clean sandalwood. It really is. And God, I love this fragrance so much. I cannot wait to add this one. This is my 3rd sample of this one, just to get me through until I've had the money to buy it, because there's been other fragrances that have taken priority over this one, including the Straight to Heaven Extreme. But this one, it is an absolutely stunning sandalwood fragrance. This one as well, for me, I mean, the first time I experienced Sacred Wood, I was actually doing some painting out my back porch. I didn't think much of it. I just got a bunch of samples in from Kilian, and this one for that day, it was like a Saturday or something like that. It was like mid-afternoon. I decided to dab some on and go outside and start painting. But as I was painting, like maybe half an hour into it, I was like, God, what is that smell? I just couldn't get enough of what I was smelling. I just kept getting these sort of nice wafts of, I didn't know of it to be sort of the sandalwood or anything like that in Sacred Wood. I just assumed it was the paint or something like that, and I thought it can't be the paint. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me that it was this fragrance. Then it came in sort of later on in the afternoon and I smelled it. I was like, I've got to have this fragrance. My wife's not a huge lover of this one. She thinks it smells. She thinks it smells like a cedar chest. I mean, it does have a little bit of cedarwood in there, but it is majority sandalwood, and it's such, like I say, it's such a beautiful, clean sort of smelling sandalwood. I also own Santal 33 as well by Le Labo, and I kind of think of them as like a little bit like cousins. This one's like the clean cut, sort of well-groomed cousin. Santal 33 is that sort of dirty, gritty, the dirty, gritty cousin of it. A little bit seedy, but yeah, two quite contrasting but similar fragrances at the same time. So my number 3 is Kilian's Sacred Wood. Right, now moving into second place. Now, for me, this is very, very hard. I absolutely adore both of these fragrances, but for number 2, I'm going to have to go with Taste of Heaven. This was my first ever Kilian that I bought myself. This is the one that I fell in love with first. It was from Lucky Scent that I got a bunch of my samples. The original Straight to Heaven was in there as well. I think there was Back to Black, Taste of Heaven. There was a couple of other ones in there, possibly Sacred Wood was in there as well. But when I went through them, this was the one that really stood out to me. Now, if you do watch my channel regularly, you will know that I recently had a little accident with the atomizer of this one, which really upset me. I was reaching for another fragrance in my cupboard, and I accidentally knocked the atomizer on the floor and it smashed. Thankfully, I've still got the majority of it, as you can see. This is such a beautiful and different fragrance to me. It's lavender and vanilla, and the smell that it gives off, I just cannot get enough of it. And this one, when I first tried it out, like I say, it was just a few dabs that I put on, and I went and trained in the gym, and I was just in absolute heaven with this fragrance. This is also the one that I wanted to wear for my wedding, but I asked my wife, I recently got it just before we got married. I asked my wife what she wanted me to wear though, and she actually opted for Amouage Interlude. However, this is the one that I definitely would have worn if I had have asked her. But I love my wife very much, so so I opted for what she wanted. But this one drives me absolutely crazy. The longevity of this one is fantastic, and the projection is pretty good as well. Projection on this one, you're looking at around sort of 3 feet. Like I say, it is a very unusual scent though. It's with the lavender and the vanilla, I find it a very, very comforting scent. It's something that I like to smell, and it makes me feel sort of warm and comforted all day long. It's a very, very relaxing scent to buy, but it's incredibly beautiful as well. Now, as I said, with the longevity, this one's got fantastic longevity too. Yeah, I mean, definitely, this is my number 2. I do love to wear this fragrance. Very, not as often as I'd like to. Reviewing other fragrances, it means that everything sort of gets its place. But yeah, whenever I get a chance, I do splash this one on because I absolutely love it. Thankfully, I've got a new atomizer for it now as well, so I'll get to wear it a bit more often again. So moving on to my number 1. Now my number 1 has to be Straight to Heaven Extreme. Now the reason that I don't own the original is when I originally got my samples in and Taste of Heaven and Straight to Heaven, I absolutely loved the smell of the original of the Straight to Heaven. However, when I sort of tried out the sample, it seemed to be gone within no time. After an hour, I couldn't smell anything. So it had no longevity. It seemed to have no projection either. Now, when I was back in London as well, one of my first days in London, I went into Selfridges, and I was trying out both of these. I'm trying out the original as well as this one as well. So they sprayed this one on my left wrist, and they sprayed the original on my right wrist, just so I could check I didn't have a dodgy sample or anything like that, and it wasn't just the sample that struggled with longevity. So throughout the day, that was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, so I went off for the day. By the end of the day though, I couldn't even smell the other one. I mean, it was there barely, but compared to this one had so much more power, it had so much more longevity. I also prefer this one as well. It's got the extra shot of, it's got a double dose of vanilla, a double dose of rum, and also a double dose of the dried fruits, which make it absolutely insanely sexy and such an amazing boozy fragrance. As soon as I smell this, I just cannot get enough of it. I just want to wear it every time I smell it. I wish I could afford to. As you can see, you can't really see very well, but I don't know if you can see the level there, but I do wear this quite often. I've only had this one a couple of months. I do wear it as often as I can because, like I say, I absolutely love it. This to me is how the original should have been. The longevity and the projection you get from this one is exactly how it should have been. Now this one comes, they all come in these beautiful bottles. As you can see, the beautiful presentation with like the detailing down the sides and the little plates on. The colours of the imprints and things like that, and the colours of the lids depend on the collection that they're from. But yeah, the projection of this one is much, much better than the original. You're looking at about 3 to 4 feet. Like I say, it's such a beautiful boozy smell that you want to be able to sort of get in close, and you want to be able to smell it throughout the day. And the longevity of this one as well, the longevity is fantastic. This is one that gets me all through the day, and I can also wake up the next morning and still smell it on my skin. But yeah, I just absolutely love this one. It's absolutely stunning. So that's my top 5 from Kilian. I'd love to hear if you've got top 5 from Kilian, otherwise any other scents. I've tried out quite a few of their scents, but there's still quite a few that I also haven't tried. I'd love to hear your top 5s. Let me know what you think of my top 5 too. If you disagree with any of those, that's fine. I mean, everyone's different, so everyone has their own personal taste. Also, it depends on the climate you're in as well. I mean, Black Phantom otherwise probably would have made it in my top 5 if I lived somewhere a little bit cooler. I always love to read your comments and reply to your comments and see what you guys think. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe below the video, and I'll catch up with you later in your comments and stuff like that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Luxury Fragrance Boss. Until my next video, stay smelling fantastic, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much for watching.